So my name is Hanumat Presaka, and it's a name for Ramachandra. And he was, Hanumat means of Hanuman. Like you have Bhagavat, means of Bhagavan. So Hanumat means of Hanuman. And Presaka is somebody who sends a messenger. So Ramachandra is the sender of Hanuman, with a message like that. And so I was initiated in 74 in San Francisco. I was there as a brahmachari, going to service. And then 1984 I took sannyas. And then I was working a lot with the Bhaktivedanta Institute, Bhakti Sri Damodar Maharaj. And my own background too, I was in university, I studied psychology, biology, different things. And then, like that. I worked with the Bhaktivedanta Institute for quite some time. And also we had this program, I think we performed here too. Yeah, we performed in the other hall. We didn't have any outside shows, I don't think. With our group, Rangini Ketan. Did anybody see them? Yeah. It was the Manipuri dancing group? Yeah. And we had a lot of programs with Maharaj, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. And then now we've, actually 1997, I guess it was. I was working a lot for him, and he said, you should really start doing some of your own programs, and stuff, and you have good ideas and this and that. So I started doing more other programs, and now we recently incorporated a 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofit educational corporation in the state of Tennessee. And it's called NEOS, if you want to make checks out in iOS, like that. But what it stands for is North American Institute for Oriental and Classical Studies. Now, of course, mostly what we study are our classics, but people don't care. If you 85% your own tradition, okay, they don't really care. But other things too, because there's so many very, very wonderful, books and things in the world. And if you know a little bit about them, you can actually do preaching to other people like that. So we have a lot of programs going on. And I was thinking we're going to be here until Friday morning. And so I think tonight there's this symposium on education. And then tomorrow night is a program in Madhava Madhavi. Is she here? Staki? Eya? No? This maybe will be bilingual. In South America, they have this question: what do you call somebody who speaks 3 languages? Trilingue, right? What do you call somebody who speaks 2 languages? Bilingue. And what do you call somebody who speaks 1 language? American. Yeah. So tomorrow night maybe we'll have a program, a bilingual program or a Spanish program. And my old friend Mr. Bhagavan says, if nothing else, it's one of the best food in Dallas. You go there, if you like Mexican food, yeah. And then we're going to be at Wednesday. We'll be at SMU, and the program we're doing there is one of the central programs we're working on now, which is Light of the Bhagavat, Cultivation of the Human Spirit. And here you see the where'd it go? Our banner. It's moving. This banner. Which we just, Hari Lila, our devotee from Houston, probably a lot of you know him, and he's very much involved in the educational programs there. And then, so we started developing these, and it became because NEOS, our organization, had this contract in South America. I go to South America a lot now, with San Marcos University. And San Marcos University is the oldest university in the Western world. Like that, several hundred years old. And even now, a very powerful university, 60,000 students, something like that. And so we have, after many, many years of preaching and doing programs, we established a relationship with them, which is kind of like having a relationship with Harvard University in the U.S. And so the program was an agreement to produce for 3 years Bharatiya Sanskriti, Festival of Classical Indian Culture. And we had different academic sections on social philosophy, political science, architecture, medicine, astrology, Danda Veda, Gandharva Veda, all these things. Had a ladies' fashion show like that from India. It was very nice, actually. and enough prasad. And we made one movie for every festival and finished off with that like that. And the ambassador of India participated, the National Education University, the National Air Force Academy, and also the National Science Foundation, which was a real accomplishment because they said, we've never let anybody religious, talk here before. And so they were a little worried about what was happening. But I presented Sankhya and how the analysis from the spiritual level to the psychological level on down to the physical level like that. And in Peru, of course, there's, they have all this contact with ghosts and everything else, all this contact with the same medical system that the Ayurveda uses. So they're really appreciating. Here's something which is scientific, but also it explains all these things that we know how they happen. Actually, our lecture was Sankhya, Oriental Philosophy of Nature, or How Cats See Ghosts, right? And everybody down there, they know cats see ghosts. They watch them, They do. They have very much more subtle tactile sense than we do. So a lot of these subtle creatures have tactile bodies, but not visual bodies. And so they can feel them like that, So very, very nice programs going on down there. And the last festival, the last year, and so much work, really hard. It was entitled, Light of the Bhagavat, Cultivation of the Human Spirit, and this festival like that. And it's somehow or other, step by step, I was being inspired by this. I always liked the book. And of course, as I'm doing this, I was, of course, getting so much integrated with Tamal Krishna Maharaj's work, in this area. Because in 1961, Prabhupada was invited to a congress on cultivation of the human spirit in Japan. And so he thought, okay, let me just take this one chapter from the Bhagavatam, a description of autumn, and then describe the pictures. And it's a very pantheistic chapter, different, things from the different seasons give us lessons like that. And he thought Oriental people are very fond of this kind of thing, very much like nature. And so he described everything, the pictures and everything else, but Prabhupada couldn't go. And so finally it was after he left his body that Tamal Krishna Maharaj, as far as I understand, along with Giridhari and the BBT in Hong Kong, just took up the whole project. And they found a very, very nice artist, Madame Li Yang Shuang. And she did all the paintings. There's one on display in the lobby there, like that. And, she said it was one of the highest points in her whole career, about the highest, just so much inspiration. So then all the art was produced. And it's called Gongbi style, which is very Taoistic, very intense nature. And people are just a part of nature. You can really feel like, peaceful and empowered by it. So 48 pictures. And then the book was published the first time. And you may have seen that. It was this full-size 8.5 by 11 size, like that. Then the BBT did it again, but they did it as a mass distribution book, about half the size as this red book you've seen. But it's not really a mass distribution book. It's a class distribution book. And so it didn't go that fast. And so we were organizing the program in South America, and I wanted to buy maybe 300 copies to take for this program. And they said, well, we only got about 25. It's out of print. And we're not going to print it again because it went too slow, So for a devotee, there are no problems. For a devotee, everything is just a challenge, So I was thinking, what are we going to do, So I thought, okay, we'll print it again. We'll do it 8.5 by 11 size, full size, but we'll do it in Spanish and English. So there it is, Castellano y Inglés, ambos. And it has the, all the pictures like that, but full size. And yes, for many people just love it. It goes on developing like that. Then I heard that Maharaj, just before he left his body, had already made an arrangement with Cambridge University to do the symposium there. So it was very inspiring, and so we were trying things, and the mayor of Lima saw the art, and he said, oh yeah, it'd be very nice, because it's a very Oriental country. Peru is a very Oriental country. So he gave us we got one municipal gallery to set the art up. Then one friend who's very much interested in the devotee, he's an architect, Walter Leon, he's an architect with a big university there. And he does art exhibitions, so he just for free did all this work. And it's a lot of work if you've ever tried to do an art exhibition. You can't just hang the paintings. The lighting has to be correct. They have to be related to each other. They went to 6 different print shops before they found a shop that would do the things the way they wanted them, like that. So then we have it all on YouTube. The mayor is there, inaugurating the whole event, international dignitaries. And then some of the biggest newspapers in Lima Peru came and asking questions. And then school children, they made an appointment to come and have somebody take them, show them the pictures, like that. So that was going on for some time before the main event. And then we have pre-events in different areas, because Light of the Bhagavad, it talks about interfaith dialogue, it talks about the structure of the cosmos, it talks about a lot about social philosophy. For example, in Peru, there's a lot of Marxist philosophy. So there's one painting about this capitalist, and he's very depressed because there's good rains and he can't exploit the poor farmers. So Prabhupada's purport is just fantastic, for a basis for dialogue. And the book is just to meet people. It's just to get, make some impression, to get people to take interest in the Bhagavatam. Then after that, what we have available, we've been doing now for about 4 years, is a very systematic study on the first 2 cantos. And in Houston, last year we had about 5 groups throughout the world. And we do 1 chapter a week, so it takes 30 weeks. And last year was accredited by San Marcos University. And devotees did it in Houston, Harilila. And everybody, there's content, there's real content there, And so now they're doing it again. Last year was about 15 devotees, right? 10? And this year is about 45, And now actually I'm headed off to Russia. I'm trying to get the visa for Russia. It's the first time I've gone there. I've been invited for many years. Because they want to go ahead and establish the Bhakti Vaibhava degree. How many people here have your Bhakti Shastri degrees? Raise your right hand. No? Harilila. Okay. Okay, 2. There's 3 of us. Yeah. Yeah, but Prabhupada wanted this. He was establishing this, And it's very nice. We should have if you have an academic understanding of these books, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, anybody who reads this Bhagavad Gita worships me with his intelligence. With your intelligence, you can understand so many things. How to get ice cream, how to cheat people out of this and that, No, but you can also let Krishna take charge of your intelligence. This is how things are. This is who you are. This is what the world is. And that takes hearing. And that's what education means, So we have a very substantial program that's developing, but it's still, I am also teaching in Radadesh. In Radadesh, our Bhaktivedanta college. Right? It's in Belgium. And it's ISKCON's premier higher education institute. And they're working with Wales Lampeter University, and through them they're a fully accredited university. They have 1 year for a certificate, 2 years for a diploma, and 3 years for a bachelor's degree in theology. And you study a lot of very academic subjects like that, and it's a regular academic standard. They graduated their first students last year, about 10 students with bachelor's degrees. And now they're applying to Oxford, so many places for their master's and PhD degrees. So I'm sure Srila Prabhupada is very happy. The ISKCON is now awarding, regular university-accepted bachelor's degrees in theology. And so that's one thing that's going on. It's a nice curriculum. And another thing is, of course, you may know about the project in Oxford. You know about that? There's a thing called it was the Center for Hindu and Vaishnava Studies, but they changed it to the Center for Vaishnava Studies, Center for Hindu Studies with Samika Rishi. And it's a center in Oxford which focuses on studying our culture, our philosophy, things like that. And then they applied for affiliation with Oxford University. Now, apparently the Jewish community had the same thing, and about I think it was maybe 10 years ago or something, even longer, they applied also to become affiliated. They sent a letter in applying for affiliation, and after 4 years they got a response to their letter saying, "We've received your letter and we are considering it." Then after about 10 years they finally got affiliated. So Samika Rishi submitted our letter, and I think within 3 months he got a letter back saying, "We're considering this and that." And now they're fully affiliated, which is getting quite an accomplishment. So the center is there, and then many devotees are going there, ISKCON devotees, and they're doing their I think mostly master's degrees and PhDs. And of course they live with the center, they associate with devotees, but they belong to a particular department or something at Oxford. One of those was Ravi Gupta. You know Ravi Gupta? Back to Godhead magazine. Yeah. So he was initiated, I initiated him, as Radhika Raman. And he's an example. He's like, in ISKCON we've had so many failures. What's his name? Rick Warren? He's a real famous Christian preacher. He started off with 12 people at a Bible study program. And after 20 years, he now has 10,000 people coming a week to his church. Like that. Yeah. Baptist guy. His wife's father was a Baptist minister. His father was a Baptist minister. And his grandfather was a Baptist minister. She also wanted to be a Baptist minister, an Acharya family. So he wrote a book about the history of his church and the things they did. And he said, you can't, imitate this. I mean, you can't copy this. Everybody has their own challenge. But you can see what we did and you can take advantage. And many devotees are reading the books. There's so many things, mistakes we've made in ISKCON that you go, yep. Yeah. But on the other side, there are things that he said. For example, it took him, he said, 15 years to realize the value of music in a church service, right? And practically speaking, in our case, it's the only thing we have going for us is music in a church service. But other stuff is just incredible. He's a professional guy. So he said, that this is all of our successes. This book. He said there's 5 more books on our failures, which I'm not going to write. But 4 out of 5 times what we tried failed. So if it's happening to you, it's failure, success. Well, if you keep on going like that, after 20 years, you'll have 10,000 people coming to your program. Like that. So don't be discouraged. It's, by these different programs. But ISKCON has had a lot of failures. Don't get us started here. Especially in education, right? In education. On the other hand, homeschooling has been something which has been, as far as I know, I never heard, practically speaking, of a bad case where it came out not successful. But in a lot of factors, of course, maybe you know this too. Usually some parent is a more educated person, like Radhika's mother was a journalist, before she got married. And then so the 2 boys, Radhika and Gopal, they were little boys, and they were going to a Seventh-day Adventist school. That's kind of like the ISKCON option. If there's no Gurukulas, it's Seventh-day Adventist schools, and it works out pretty well. But even that they didn't like. So from a very young age, like 6 years old or something, she started doing homeschooling. And she would just take Prabhupada's books. And she'd read to them and have them read. And have them summarize what they had read. And any words they didn't know, they'd look them up. And that was such a fantastic education, They never studied geography. And there was going to be a national geography competition in Boise, Idaho. So they studied for geography for 3 weeks, and Radhika came in second place out of the entire state. Like that. And so then at some point he thought he wanted to write better. He was writing for Back to Godhead magazine, so he went to Boise State University, which is a big university, and started taking a couple of English courses. And they're saying, "Why are you doing so well?" and this and that, and they're asking him, why don't you take a full-time study at the university? Why are you just taking these courses? And he said, "Well, I never graduated from high school." And they were amazed. And he said, "Well, here, take this test. Okay, you graduated from high school. Okay, join the university." So he graduated from Boise State University, I think it was 18 years old. Yeah, he got his bachelor's degree at 18 years old in philosophy and mathematics, first place. And of course the dean had to come to the graduation party in the temple with his wife, and they're sitting there like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? But after about half an hour, they started singing and dancing, and everything else. So it's a very, very good preaching program in the university, their presence. And then he went to Oxford, and then he graduated there at 22 years old. He finished off his doctorate in philosophy from Oxford at 22 years old, like that. And he's one of the youngest, he isn't the youngest, but one of the youngest people to ever graduate with a doctorate at that age. So as a graduation present, his father paid for him to come to South America for these programs we were doing. And he had a wonderful time. Harley also went there. It's wonderful preaching and everything, a vacation in Peru, no? Yeah. And so down there they had this British impression. The British created this idea that India is a backward, uncivilized country and nobody should go there. We'll take care of it. And even amongst the Indians, they've created this impression. So that in India, if you study psychology in the university, you study Sigmund Freud rather than Patanjali with the Yoga Sutras. It's insane. So he was down there, and our lecture tour, so many universities, was on this idea about how there's always been philosophy in India. Because they say philosophy started with the Greeks. Before that, it was just superstition, ritual, things like that. So he said, there are so many philosophers in India. Patanjali, Jaimini, Astavarga, Kannada, and all of them have fantastic people with so many, thousands and millions of followers and processes. And, he said, out of all of these, I picked one tradition, which is Vedanta, of Vyasadeva. And out of so many Vedantic traditions, Ramanuja, Madhva, I took, the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. And out of all those philosophers, I chose one philosopher, Jiva Goswami. How many verses in the Mahabharata? Who knows? How many verses did Jiva Goswami write? 400,000. 400,000 verses Jiva Goswami wrote. So anyway, he said I took one of his works. It was the Sad Sandarbhas. You may know this. This is our real strong point in our culture. And out of these 6 Sandarbhas, I took one, and even that I just took a portion. The Sandarbhas are arranged in what are called anuchedas, like little essays. Like he deals with one topic, writes about it, maybe 1 page, 2 pages, then he goes to the next topic. And Radhika did his research. He went to India and he found an original manuscript which was older than anything they had, with some very interesting variations. But he took one section. So Jiva Goswami expects that you've already studied the Vedanta of Shankara. You've already studied the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. You've already studied all the Mimamsa Shastras of Jaimini. He expects you've already done all that. Right? So then he's talking about what is the truth, and it's like try to understand a 500-year-old lecture summary given for Nobel laureates like that in a foreign language like that. He said one time he translated, I think it was 5 sentences, and it took him 6 hours to translate 5 sentences, and by the time he was finished, he had 3 pages of footnotes just to make it comprehensible. What to speak of actually going into depth of the thing like that. So he gave his presentation and he said, and that was sufficient. That was sufficient to get a PhD in philosophy from Oxford. Just that one section like that. So people are very impressed. They don't know about what is our culture, what is our tradition like that, our scholarship and everything else like that. So we're doing these programs in Peru, with Light of the Bhagavat on many different themes. Science, religion, social philosophy, and people are becoming attracted. They're waking up, taking some interest. And we're coming to North America now and trying to also develop the same things and see how it's going. And especially our outreach tool is this, Light of the Bhagavat. You have a nice art exhibition. Many places they appreciate that. Invite people to come. You have pre-events and different topics. For example, retirement. It's a very big topic now because so many people are getting old and what do I do now? But the Bhagavatam is a very nice discussion about what to do after you retire from this Grihastha ashram. And you invite different people, have a nice symposium, and you don't try to come to so many conclusions. Rather, you try and generate some interest in the topic and some beginning, and then people take the book, right? They buy the book, right? And they read it. And then they say, what's next? Well, biography of the author. Okay, what's next? Nectar of Instruction. Summary of our whole philosophy like that. What's next? Okay. You can take our course on the Srimad Bhagavatam like that. So we're developing these things. In Radadesh, I'm teaching we'll do this. Prabhupada recommends 3 books by Rupa Goswami especially. Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami. What books do we have? Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, And then Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. Many times he'll talk like that, like that. So on Friday, Thursday, we'll give a summary of those things like that. And it's a complete summary of our whole culture. It's really incredible. So that's what the presentation I'm giving at Radadesh. I'm teaching there an accredited course on Rupa Goswami. And I asked Yadunandana, who's the principal of the university, how do I teach this? Who else has been teaching this? What should I do? And he said, higher education in ISKCON is in diapers. Right? He did a whole research on the thing. And it's very interesting how it's developed and tried to develop. And we shouldn't be ashamed. I mean, the Buddhists took, I don't know how many 100 years, after Buddha disappeared. And it took the help of Emperor Ashoka before they established Nalanda. And Nalanda was their big university. And from there, everything else happened. They could train up people to be teachers, do everything else like that. It's like the Mormons. What's the big Mormon university? Brigham Young. And from there, they train people to do all, to spread their theology and to understand it, to teach their own members to go out. So now we have in Radadesh something, like that. And actually, it's going quite quick if you look at historically like these programs like that. So this is ISKCON. We've gone through so many things trying to establish education, and still many people think it's kind of like the most insignificant part of our whole culture. Everything else comes before that. Yeah? But if you look at the other side of the point, in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, Srimad Bhagavatam should be taught in the schools and universities, like that. And books are the basis, not just to distribute them, but to read them. Because then you get an understanding of who am I, what is this world, how do I live properly, and you can become happy, right? And you can influence other people. And if you look at the world, it's such a hellish place right now. It's unbelievable. There's not one country on earth where people are happy, as far as I know. Not in America. People aren't happy. And some of the most unhappy people in America. And so there's a big lack of knowledge about who are we, how to live properly. And the Bhagavatam explains that. How to organize society, how men and women should have relationships, how to have relationship with the animals, how to have relationship with nature. And then you live very peacefully. And then you begin to inquire, well, is there something more than this body? My body's okay. It's nice, But is there something more? So then after that, of course, the Bhagavad philosophy describes distinction of the spirit from matter. And not just theoretically, practically speaking, you can see you become detached from, your entanglement in sexual relationships, eating, sleeping, all these things, you become detached from these. And even the greatest physical distress, you can just go on chanting. This BTG article, right, is about Russia. It's interesting, I'm trying to go there now. But if you read the things they went through, physically beaten with their teeth knocked out and everything else, but they went on chanting. Like that. And they don't think, oh, well, I was cheated, it didn't work. No, it works. It works, and the result is worth it. So, okay, distinction of the soul from matter. And then the next question is, if I'm distinguished from matter, what happens? Right? If I leave the prison, what'll I eat? Right? Anybody here ever see a prison menu? Oh God, that the food alone is enough to make you fear prison. It's the most. Every single kind of commercial, mass food product you can imagine. So, well, if I leave prison, what'll I eat? If I leave this body, what'll I do? So then the Bhagavatam then describes, Krishna playing with the cows, playing with his friends. So many exalted, wonderful pastimes like that. And how to actually appreciate these. So in some ways, I can ask a question now. It's kind of a summary of our overview of what we're trying to do here. What is an educated person? Who wants to answer that? Somebody who has a master's degree in molecular biology? Is he an educated person? Sure. Yeah, that's something. Yeah. But is there something higher? A better definition of an educated person?
Well, this is an education that which teaches how to break through the cycle of birth and death.
Yes, that would be nice. Any other what does Chanika Pandit say? What is Chanika Pandit? You know Chanika? Prabhupada said the most astute politician who ever lived. But he also said it was in Mayavadi. Even now in India, he's the most famous social philosopher. He said a person is educated when he looks at life in this way. He sees every woman, other than his own wife, as his own mother. He sees everybody else's property as no more important to him than things lying in the street. Maybe garbage, but things lying in the street. And he sees everybody else's pains as his own, like that. He said that's an educated man. Not just technical education, like that. So that's a moral education. Then higher we get this philosophical education, being able, like Socrates. Socrates, the Stoics, they were great people. Prabhupada said Socrates had to have been self-realized. Otherwise he could not have taken the poison, like that. He knew he wasn't the body. He had a good, strong impression like that. So this is a jnani. But then in terms of Prahlad Maharaj, you know what he says there? Because that Prahlad Maharaj, our Gurukula teacher. It's very nice. Prabhupada talks about, he says, education means to reestablish our relationship with Krishna. Right? So fundamentally it means we're spirit. Right? And that gets us out of the material world. But after that, there's so much more. To actually reestablish your relationship with Krishna. What is our relationship with Krishna? What can it be? What kind of relationships do people have with Krishna in the spiritual world? It's an easy question. Huh? Servant? Yeah. What else? Huh? Be a friend? Mother? Father? Or a girlfriend? Like that? Yeah. So this is our relationship with Krishna. So education means to reestablish that. Along with that, we've been working with the Gurukula in Lima. And it's gone through so many different phases like this and that and the struggles like every place, It's very difficult, So maybe about 5 years ago I got involved because my disciples got involved and I discovered that most of them are teachers, So we started working on the project and we worked 10 hours a day for 2 weeks to get everything straightened out in terms of people's own individual situation, the actual internal situation with the school, and the relationship with the government. And after the whole thing, we had a salary schedule set up. And it was incredible. Nanga Manjari is a school psychologist. She's a professional psychologist. Her sister Rohini was a mathematics teacher at the university. Nandamaya and his wife Karuna are, PE teachers in high school. Lakshman had been a Beverly Hills high school type teacher, one of the best places there. And it was incredible, the whole thing we had, But in the beginning, the GBC position was that this is for the parents to take care of, don't bother us. But then I started preaching a little bit about how important it is, that education, it brings your community together. It brings first-class families into your community. And then everything else is going to prosper. And they were apologizing, saying, thank you, Maharaj, you're right, and we haven't got any money there, what can we do? So they gave us the whole area for free, the educational area, and they didn't rent it out like that. And so, what's his name? William Bella. He's one of the very, very famous sociologists from Berkeley. He said the educational system is like a stool. It goes on 3 legs. The community has to support it, the teachers have to have their hearts into it, and the families have to have their hearts into it. Any one of these is missing, doesn't work. So the teachers, the families, all the families, they were kind of thinking, well, this is just like a daycare center to keep our kids out of our hair so we can make money. And they're all kind of like lower middle class families mostly. So Nanga Manjari just started having parents and teacher association meetings every 2 weeks and talking about the education. And the same thing happened. The whole community changed. And they started coming volunteering to do painting. Yeah. So they were volunteering to do painting and helping out and so much like that. And of course the teachers were very dedicated. One boy, Raghubir, his parents were very poor, so he'd been in public school. And he couldn't learn. So as a very advanced educational, motivational technique, the teachers were twisting his ears to make him learn. and other kids, of course, were totally humiliating him. He came to our school when we got it going. He was a complete basket case. He was completely emotionally, shocked. So Nanga Manjari sat with him, gave him tests, and he was dyslexic. So then she did individual tutoring for him, and after some time he found out, I can learn, Then she put him into a regular class and then gave the teacher, special instructions about how to deal with a dyslexic child. And after about 1 year, he was just, he had a little bit of revenge consciousness. Like that. Not a lot, but a little bit like, revenge, But now he's dying. Very, what's going to happen next? So that went on for about 1 year. But in the end, the parents wanted to put their children into public schools. And our teachers admitted, yes, we cannot compete with public schools in terms of chemistry and computer science. But yeah, ethical and moral development, even the parents admitted that kids had better education and character development in the school. And also they saw that they could learn better. They learned how to learn better. When they went into the public schools, they were in first place. They were popular. All their fears were destroyed. So then there's a psychological reaction. If you don't want something, then so then the parents who took their kids out tried to destroy the Gurukula. Like that. It's this natural psychological reaction, right? What's the word? Like sour grapes, So they asked me what to do with the Gurukula, because about 3 families wanted to go on with it. About out of 20 families, 17 opted out. So they said, okay, just make it into a homeschooling program. You've got enough, legal things and qualifications. You can keep it legal. Don't tell anybody. Just educate your own kids. And now it's mothers defending their own children. Yeah, and so it's like, back off. Like that, Okay. So that I know that would happen. So then these other parents just stopped. Okay, stop harassing them. Okay, if you want your children to be, socially inept morons, do it. But then after 6 months, they saw that the kids coming out of there weren't socially inept. They weren't morons, but they weren't learning technical things so much. They were learning how to be Vaishnavas. So, but even still, the economy and everything else is very difficult to keep it going. So now what they've done is a lot of the kids are all in public schools, but good public schools, where they have some relationship with the teacher, professors. The professor demanded that we come and do Vaishnava programs at least 3 times a year, like that. So it's a different kind of environment. Every place is different. So then what he started doing is like on the weekends and weekdays having special cultural programs for the teenagers and younger children. And these all qualified teachers organizing them. And so what they did, because every country is different. If you want machines, which country do you go to in Europe? If you want love, which country do you go to? France. That's lust. Yeah. If you want good food, Italy, right? Every country has its character. The best police in the world. In the European heaven, the Germans are the mechanics, the Italians are the cooks, the French are the lovers, the Swiss are the judges, and the British are the, what do you call these guys? Policemen. In the European hell, the British are the cooks. The Germans are the police. The Swiss are the lovers. Yeah, you can see. If you ever had a Peugeot or something, or a Citroën, the French are the mechanics, and the Italians are the judges, if you know this system. So every educational ambient is different. Every ambience is different. But the goal ultimately is to go to Bhava Bhakti, to go through all these emotional things. If people are not ready for that, okay. These kids are demons. Okay. Teach them how to become lawyers. Right? And they become civilized demons when they grow up. Like that. Okay. Everybody can be helped. Prabhupada says that. Gurukula is for the attached and the detached both. Right? Yeah. But if people are detached, okay, put them on the sannyas track, get them inspired to do austerities, to do introspection, and take them through Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. And that's the perfection of Gurukula, of education, is that people realize their relationship to Krishna, like that. So many different, whole big topic like that. So they started this program, and then they started, because in Peru everybody is just born to be an artist, a dancer, It's not a big intellectual country. It's more like a very sweet country. There's intellectual people there, but it's always more like literature and that kind of thing. Science and stuff is more for like Chile, or psychiatry is for Argentina. Every country has its character there, And so then they finally settled into. We have movie making. We have a fantastic movie we made from the book. We did that there. We'll show that at SMU, like that. And it's incredible. I've seen it 32 times. I wanted to see it again. They just caught the essence of this book and just, wow, it's incredible, like that. So far it's cost us $7,000 for a 35-minute movie, which is damn cheap, Baba. Damn cheap. Yeah. So anyway, the kids, they found one nice artist, and she wanted to help teach the kids. So this is one of the paintings they did, the children. There you go. You can see it from there, I don't know. Yeah. So how old do you think is the artist? 7 years old. yeah. But that's their karma. Prabhupada said Indians will never catch up in the West in technology in 1,000 years, because it's not their karma. So in Peruvians, it's kids. They just, actually the girl was a girl, Sita. She's Anandamaya's daughter, and they watch like these Bombay movies. They're very popular there, And I was watching her. Actually, I have a little video. She's watching them on stage, and she's like she was maybe about 5 years old, and she was just kind of imitating these movements, and she had the hip movements down. Everything. It was like 5-year-old girl. She was doing this whole thing. It was like, and in her last lifetime, she must have been like a Bombay movie star or something. It was just like, it's just natural, So then, I'm trying to give my inspiration, because Sankirtan. To become educated in the Kali Yuga means to learn how to do Sankirtan, how to glorify Krishna, how to communicate to others. So that I was giving trying to inspire them that way. So there's about 6 more paintings like this, 7 more. And then what we did, all worked together. They made up this little book, like that, this booklet, and it has the paintings. All 7 paintings, like that. And I told them, you pick out some verse, from the Bhagavatam or something like that. For example, this shows all these ladies picking flowers. It's so beautiful. And it says, of hymns, I am actually it's Spanish. Of hymns, it's supposed to be I am. Of hymns, in the Samaveda, I am the Brihat Samu. And of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am November and December, and among seasons, I am flower-bearing spring. And this beautiful thing. And the whole thing is a little story, imaginary story, about their little village where they live. Of course, it's actually the temple, which is out of the city. It's in the village. And so it says, collecting flowers for their lordships. 250 meters from the temple, we have sown fields of many vegetables. We sow there some potatoes, sweet potatoes, yucca, it's a root, carrots, corn, quinoa, it's a really nutritious grain if you know like that, very light, quinoa, and other things. To the left, we also sow some flowers, like carnations, roses, jasmines, pom-poms, chrysanthemums, orchids, marigolds, and lots of them. Here all the Madajis are the responsible to collect the flowers, and then we make many garlands for the deities, beautiful deities. Right? We do that every day. For us, it is very gratifying to do this service for his lordships. On the weekends, we do competitions about who can make the best garland. This is very exciting for us. Like that. So in the back, then there's also a little picture of all the artists like that in their biography, like that. So you can pass it on here and take somebody. Yeah. And pass it around. So then different people gave us donations for the Gurukula. So I gave them each one picture and a copy of the book, and everybody is so satisfied. Okay, education is worthwhile. And people are coming out as human beings, or thinking about Krishna and something higher in life. So there's no attraction then for drugs and all these kind of horrible things, And it's going on like that. In Sharanagati in Canada, they're in their 3rd generation. Parents who started there and whose children grew up there are now parents. and the kids are like about maybe 3 years old. And so they're in the third generation. They're like that, all growing up. And everybody's very happy. The kids, the boys go off and, for their walkabout when they reach 18 years old, go see what life's about. They have different experiences. And they come back and marry the girl next door, like that, and live happily ever after. My God, amazing. So there's a lot of things happening in ISKCON, a lot of effort for many, many years, and different programs developing. And these are some of the things I wanted to share that we're doing. And then I think also we have, we want to hear also about the things that are happening, in here. And this way, some communication, it's because different things work different places. Everybody has to develop your own programs in terms of education for children, for youth, for adults, right? All these programs. And it's a real pioneering thing. It's a lot of work. It requires unlimited determination. That's all it requires. Nothing else. Just unlimited determination. There's a famous story about Abraham Lincoln, right? Abraham Lincoln ran for city council and he failed. He ran for county councilor and he failed. He ran for state senator and he failed. He ran for president of the United States and he won. So the thing is, you're not a failure until you stop trying. Like that. That's the thing with that. So that's our whole point. Utsahan nishchayad, nishchayena. That's guaranteed success. Like that. So we're ourselves facing so many things. How do you get that? Get up early and get your rounds done. Yeah, doesn't matter what else happens. Get up early and get your rounds done. Then after that, you've got that, enthusiasm and intelligence just to go on all day. And my Chanikya Pandit says, ignorance cannot stay where there is constant recitation of the Vedas, Bhagavatam. Poverty cannot stay where there is constant endeavor. And sinful reactions cannot stay where there is constant chanting of the names of God. Like that. And keep on going. So any comments at this point or questions? Kind of finish here. Yeah. Koi prashna hai? Hay preguntas? Sí, por allá, señor. Commentaries?
Thank you very much for so much inspiration and about the programs. It's really very nice. Very nice.
Well, it's very nice being here in the community. It's a struggle, huh? Yeah, going on. Yeah. And also, I'm kind of very inspired being here. It seems like auspicious that Tamal Krishna Maharaj is sannyas. Because that's it. This is education. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanapras, sannyas. It's all education. It's all education. So what's the purpose of Grihastha ashram? To get ready for Vanapras ashram. And okay, Kali Yuga, you can stay there. Become a purified devotee. But yes, sannyas is also very good, for husband and wife, to get really, ready, to pass the final examination. And you can't cheat on that one. Yeah. So anyway, we're here for a few days, and I guess in the morning we'll be having some classes, and then tomorrow have a nice Spanish language class, Spanish and English maybe, and it's SMU. We have a wonderful program there. We'll probably show the movie there at that. And then Thursday we'll be back here again for then Lalita Madhava and Rupa Goswami's background. Thank you all very much. Prabhupada ki. Hari Bol.